So after doing everything on the bottom, I'm gonna move backwards. So now I'm up here. I'm gonna reinstall the water pump back on the truck here on the engine. So everything else on the bottom is pretty much done. I do have to go down there and put an oil filter on there, which I have now, and then I'm gonna get the water pump on, put the bracket here for the AC and the alternator, and then we'll start rolling, pretty much working backwards from when we started. Water pump, it's all back on. I torqued the bolts, got this bracket on. One quick tip is that stud on the bottom, don't put it on the engine until after you get the AC mounted on the bracket, because it's really hard to get the AC to come around the stud right here. So, you know, since you have it off, just put the AC on there and then put that stud in there. The belts, it was a little bit challenging. I don't have the tool on me, but you just gotta kind of start it and then turn the crank. For the AC belt, wrap it around the AC, put it behind the harmonic balancer, and then start it here on top and then turn it. It's a lot easier than trying to get around the AC compressor. With that said, I got those two hoses on there for the heater core. I'm gonna get the alternator now mounted up here. And then actually I did forget to get the drive shaft bolted back on, so I am going to go down there and do that, and then put that cross member on the bottom, but that's, you know, it's just straightforward. So I'm going to do that and then get back to the alternator up here. For the alternator here, you have these bushings and it might be tight to get it in there, so what you want to do is get a hammer and just tap them out just slightly, and that's going to push the bushing out so you can get the alternator in there. Once you tighten it up, it's going to push the bushing back in tight. So but just hit it, you know, give it a little hit here on the back to push that bushing out. That way you can put the alternator in easier. Alright, so went ahead and put the belt tensioner on. Make sure you line up the tab here on the back, tighten up the bolt, and then put your belt on. I went ahead and put the bottom radiator hose on just because it'd be easier without the fan here. So this is pretty much on there. Now I'm gonna grab the fan and slide it in here. You know, that oil cooler line, it still is connected, that way I can put it in here. And then I'll just finish up connecting like this other hose here to the reservoir. And then this one up here, I believe this goes up there by the thermostat housing. And then I'll start putting everything else here, like their intake, all the small things here. Okay, radiator fan is all installed in here. You know, just gotta angle it in, unless you disconnect the transmission lines also. But you can get it in with just this top one here is the one that you definitely do want to disconnect. But I went ahead and just clipped that in there. Make sure that clip is in there all the way clicked. There's the little Christmas tree line holders that go here on the bottom of the fan assembly. The hose should have little Christmas tree holders here, but on this ones they were broken since I started working on it. So everything I plugged in the fans. Also the connector on this one's where the clips were broken, so I'm gonna get some zip ties and just zip tie the plug right next to, you know, here where it plugs in to this fin, just that way it doesn't wiggle out. Same on this side. I mean, it does have this holder, but it's not tight, so I'm gonna just zip tie it tighter, that way it doesn't wiggle out. What I'm gonna do next is finish the top radiator hose here and then put that intake back on there. All right, so got the engine running. Seems to be idling good. I'm gonna let it warm up, make sure, you know, check the coolant, but I'm gonna have to drive it. The RPMs looks very steady, but I still have to drive it and see what happens. So I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and then take it for a little drive and see what happens. I never check wires and spark plugs as well, so it might need, you know, a good tune-up like that as well, other than the work I did. But other than that, I'm gonna take it for a drive and then see what happens. All right, so that's how you repair code P06DD. As long as there's no more, you know, things that's wrong with your engine, it's replacing that solenoid in the oil pump. So it's quite an intensive job, you know. It does take quite a bit of time, especially with everything you have to remove, so keep that in mind. But anyways, thank you for watching. Any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.